The story begins inside the Hall of Measure, a place older than most stars, where the fate of entire species has always been decided in silence and light, because for thousands of years the scanner floating at the center of the hall has been trusted more than kings, armies, or gods, and it has never been wrong, not once, as it has measured every living species by strength, mind, instinct, fear, survival ability, and future threat. Then assigned them a clear level that told the galaxy whether they would rule, serve, or vanish. And tonight the hall is filled with powerful alien leaders who have come to watch the newest species face judgment. A species from a small blue planet called Earth. A species many consider weak and laughable, because humans have no claws like the Gorath, no hive minds like the Karth, no crystal bodies like the Velrics. Only soft skin, slow ships, and loud weapons. And as one species after another steps forward, the scanner works as it always has, glowing calmly as it reads them, giving clean numbers that cause pride or shame but never surprise. Until at last a single human walks forward, Commander Elias Ward, wearing a simple uniform with no armor and no signs of power, yet standing straight under the gaze of beings who have crushed worlds. And when the scanner turns toward him, the hall expects a low number, maybe a Tier 2 or Tier 3, something small that will justify future control or conquest. But instead something strange happens. Because the scanner slows, its light flickers. Its deep hum changes pitch, and for the first time in living memory, it does not speak right away. As it reads Elias not just as a body but as a pattern of contradictions. Fragile bones paired with extreme endurance. Limited muscle matched with sudden explosive force. Fear responses tied to defiance instead of retreat. Pain that fuels action rather than stopping it. And emotions that burn hotter when hope is lost. And the scanner begins to see layers it was never designed to measure. Things built not by evolution alone but by choice, struggle, and history. And as it searches deeper, it finds variables that grow instead of stabilize, strength that multiplies under pressure, intelligence that bends rules instead of following them, and a survival instinct that turns loss into fuel. And unable to compress all this into a number, the scanner flashes red across the hall, shocking every observer into silence, and the words "Do not classify" appear, followed by warnings that the subject contains undefined potential and unlimited escalation, meaning that humans cannot be safely ranked because their future power depends on how hard they are pushed, not on what they are now. And fear spreads through the hall as alien leaders realize this machine is not protecting humans, but warning the galaxy. And when the scanner adds a final recommendation saying they should not be provoked, many feel insulted, believing a tool is exaggerating. Yet deep inside them a cold understanding grows. Because if a machine built to judge all life refuses to judge humans, then humans exist outside the rules of the galaxy. And as Commander Elias calmly asks what the message means and receives no answer, the moment becomes a turning point, because in that silence the galaxy makes its first mistake, choosing pride over caution, power over patience, and fear over wisdom, setting the stage for a conflict that will prove the scanner was never broken at all, only honest. The galaxy did not take long to react to the scanner's warning, because when powerful species feel fear, they act before they think. And so whispers about the humans grew into decisions, and decisions grew into fleets, until thousands of alien ships appeared in the skies above Earth, darkening the sun, filling the orbit with shadows, weapons charged and ready to erase the small blue planet. And yet Earth was not unprepared. Because humans, though young and underestimated, had a stubbornness that no scanner could measure. And their leaders, with Commander Elias Ward at the center, knew that survival would require every advantage, every trick, every ounce of courage. So they activated secret defenses hidden beneath oceans and mountains, turned mining ships into war vessels, and repurposed old satellites into weapons platforms. And as the alien fleets opened fire, massive energy beams and missiles struck shields built from a combination of ingenuity, scavenged technology, and sheer desperation. Shields that buckled under the first hits but held, giving humanity the precious seconds they needed to respond. And the humans did not fight in neat formations. Because they did not follow doctrine, they adapted, they improvised. Each ship and fighter acting as part of a living organism, moving with chaos that the aliens could not predict. And when the Gorath dreadnoughts attacked, massive human cruisers rammed into them deliberately, exploding in fire and taking enemy ships with them, while human pilots pushed their bodies and machines past known limits, pulling turns that tore the air and bodies of alien pilots, showing a capacity for pain, endurance, and improvisation that the scanner had tried to warn them about. And on the ground and in the lower orbits, boarding actions unfolded with equal intensity. Humans entering alien ships with burns and broken limbs and still pressing forward, fighting with a combination of tools, weapons, and raw determination. And within the chaos, Ilias led a small strike team aboard a massive enemy command vessel, moving through zero-gravity halls filled with smoke and failing systems, facing alien officers who laughed at what they assumed were weak human bodies. Yet the humans moved as one, using speed, guile, and relentless willpower to overcome superior alien strength, until Elias confronted the ship's commanding officer and was hit by a plasma rifle, his body thrown back, ribs cracked, blood filling his mouth. Yet he rose, unbowed, and detonated the ship, wiping out the enemy command center in a single controlled explosion that echoed through space as a warning and inspiration. And throughout the battle, human losses were heavy. Civilians and soldiers alike dying or sacrificing themselves in countless acts of bravery. Yet every action slowed the alien fleets, disrupted their formations, and showed the galaxy that humans were unpredictable, relentless, and deadly, that they refused to accept death as final, and that their strength multiplied under pressure rather than diminished, and slowly, almost impossibly. The alien commanders realized that the humans were winning not by overwhelming firepower or perfect tactics, but by sheer refusal to surrender, by inventiveness in the face of impossible odds, and by an instinct for survival that had been honed over centuries of struggle on their own fragile planet. And as fleets were destroyed, command ships lost, and alien pilots fell, the invaders began to retreat for the first time in recorded history, unable to understand or anticipate the human capacity for adaptation, courage and sacrifice. And the galaxy, watching in stunned silence, began to see the truth that the scanner had already revealed. Humans could not be ranked, measured, or controlled, because their value and power did not lie in strength alone, in speed or numbers, but in their refusal to stop fighting, their ability to turn even suffering into advantage, and the spark of defiance that no machine, no fleet, and no doctrine could extinguish. And though the war had cost humans dearly, the survivors proved that what the scanner had seen was real, that humanity was not just a species among others, but a force that reshaped the battlefield, confounded the strongest empires, and set the stage for a confrontation that would decide not just the fate of Earth, but the future of the galaxy itself. And in that moment of victory and grief, as the last alien ship limped away, the humans understood that their greatest strength had never been technology, weaponry, or numbers, but the spirit that refused to bow, the courage that defied certainty, and the determination to fight on even when everything seemed lost. A lesson the galaxy would never forget. The final battle for humanity's survival came above the red deserts and frozen plains of Mars, where the combined might of the Galactic Union had gathered every weapon and every ship they could deploy, sending ancient planet killers, star-destroying machines, and fleets older than the oldest human city, all aimed at one goal: complete annihilation. And yet, even in the face of such overwhelming power, humans did not panic, because their courage and stubbornness had been forged through centuries of struggle. And Commander Elias Ward, though badly wounded from previous battles and supported by medical braces that could not fully heal him, stood on the bridge of the EDF resolute, knowing that survival depended not on hiding but on standing firm and striking with precision. And as the enemy activated a weapon capable of erasing Mars in a single blast, Elias called every human ship through a single channel, telling them that victory would not come from avoiding destruction but by meeting it head-on. And humans responded without hesitation, their vessels accelerating toward the weapon with engines pushed far beyond safe limits, reactors overloaded to provide maximum power, turning each ship into a living missile, striking with a mixture of courage and desperation, ramming, detonating, and tearing into the firing array, while smaller fighters darted between massive capital ships, disabling shields, jamming targeting systems, and exploiting every weak point in the alien formations. And as chaos reigned across orbit, Elias himself guided the Resolute straight into the core of the enemy weapon, knowing full well the price he would pay, yet also knowing that this sacrifice would save millions of lives on Mars and across Earth's colonies. And in his final moments, he sent a single, clear message to the galaxy, declaring that humanity's strength was not in being measured or ranked, that humans did not need approval to exist, and that their power lay in their refusal to surrender. And the weapon was destroyed in a brilliant explosion that lit the skies of Mars like a second sun, shaking the enemy fleet to pieces and scattering their forces. And when the fire cleared, the galaxy watched as human survivors emerged from the wreckage, battered but alive, proving that the scanner's warning of "do not classify" had been justified. For humans had proven themselves not simply a species, but a force that could defy calculation, a force whose capacity for adaptation, courage, and ingenuity exceeded any formula or prediction. And when the scanner was activated again to scan the ruins and the surviving humans, the warning remained unchanged, but one additional line appeared, written not by machines but by recognition of human tenacity. Status: humanity, not a species, a force. And across the stars, alien empires who had once underestimated the humans understood, with fear and awe, that no machine, no fleet, no rule could control them, because humans were unpredictable, relentless and utterly determined. And the galaxy learned that humans could turn even death into a weapon, suffering into strategy, and that their will to survive was a power in itself, an unstoppable force that had rewritten the laws of the universe. And though countless lives were lost, and those cities and fleets lay in ruins, the human spirit endured, stronger and more dangerous than anyone had imagined. And every being who witnessed the aftermath understood that the day the scanner marked a human in red with the words "do not classify" was the day the galaxy first realized that humans were not merely another species to be measured and catalogued, but a force that could rise against impossibility, overcome the strongest enemies, and leave an impact that would echo across stars, centuries and civilizations, forever altering the balance of power, because humans, with all their flaws, limitations, and mortality, had become a symbol of unyielding defiance, and that symbol would not fade, for their courage, sacrifice, and determination had shown that the true measure of power is not in strength alone, but in the refusal to stop, to fight on, and to endure when everything else says to give up, a lesson the galaxy would carry forever.